Ethiopia is one of the oldest countries on earth, a land of kings and kingdoms, prophets and warriors, mountains and miracles. But when people think of Africa's history, Ethiopia is often left out of the spotlight, and that's a mistake. This is a country that never truly fell to colonial rule, a place where ancient churches were carved into stone, where emperors claimed bloodlines that reached all the way back to King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. Ethiopia is Africa's only nation with an unbroken connection to biblical times, ancient empires, and a fierce fight for freedom. From prehistoric beginnings and powerful dynasties, to Italy's invasion, communism, famines, civil war, and a cultural rebirth, Ethiopia's story is long, deep, and often misunderstood. In this video, we're going to walk through the entire history of Ethiopia, not in complicated language, but in simple terms. We'll explore the rise of empires, the battles for independence, the mystery of the Ark of the Covenant, and the future of this proud nation. So sit back, relax, and let's travel through thousands of years, through valleys, legends, and time, to uncover the true story of Ethiopia. First, let's start from the very beginning, not just of Ethiopia, but of humankind. Many scientists believe that modern humans began their journey right here, in the Horn of Africa. Fossils of early human ancestors, like the famous Lucy, discovered in 1974, were found in Ethiopia's Afar region. Lucy lived over 3 million years ago, and she gave scientists one of the clearest links to humanity's roots. Because of this, Ethiopia is often called the cradle of mankind. It's where our human story begins, long before nations or kings ever existed. Over time, small farming communities began to form in the region. People grew crops, raised animals, and started building permanent settlements. And slowly, these early societies gave rise to something greater: civilization. By around 1000 BCE, Ethiopia had become more than a place of scattered tribes. It was a land of kings, trade, and spiritual power. And one of the first great stories in Ethiopian history comes from the Bible, the Queen of Sheba. According to Ethiopian tradition, the Queen of Sheba visited King Solomon in Jerusalem, and they had a son named Menelik. That child would go on to become the first emperor of Ethiopia, beginning a royal bloodline that would last for nearly 3,000 years. But was it myth or fact? That question still inspires debate. But for Ethiopians, the story of Solomon and Sheba isn't just legend. It's part of their national identity, a symbol of pride, royalty, and deep spiritual roots. As time moved on, Ethiopia grew into one of the most powerful civilizations of the ancient world, the Kingdom of Aksum. The Axumite Empire rose around the 1st century CE and became a major trading power. It controlled trade routes between Africa, the Middle East, and Asia, dealing in gold, ivory, incense, and spices. Aksum minted its own coins, built large stone monuments called stele, and had a written script called Ge'ez, which is still used in Ethiopian religious texts today. But one of Aksum's greatest achievements came in the 4th century, when King Ezana converted to Christianity. This made Ethiopia one of the first nations in the world to officially adopt Christianity, even before Rome. The version of Christianity that grew in Ethiopia became deeply unique, full of ancient customs, Hebrew influences, and African traditions. Today, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church remains one of the oldest Christian churches in the world. Legend also says that Menelik I, the son of Solomon and Sheba, brought the Ark of the Covenant, the sacred chest that held the 10 Commandments, from Jerusalem to Ethiopia. Many Ethiopians believe the Ark is still kept in the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion in Aksum. Whether fact or faith, these stories shaped Ethiopia's identity as a holy land. But as with all empires, Aksum eventually declined. Trade shifted, climate changes affected farming, and new powers rose. By the 10th century, Aksum faded from glory, but Ethiopia's spirit did not fade. In fact, a new chapter was just beginning. Let's keep digging to see what came next. After Aksum's decline, a new dynasty rose, the Zagwe dynasty, around the 12th century. The Zagwe kings moved the capital south and continued to support the Christian faith. But what they're most famous for is one of Ethiopia's greatest wonders, the rock-hewn churches of Lalibela. These churches were carved straight into solid stone from the top down and still stand today. Some call them the New Jerusalem. They are not only engineering marvels, but powerful symbols of Ethiopian devotion. Later, in the 13th century, the Zagwe were replaced by the Solomonic dynasty, a royal line that claimed direct descent from King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. This dynasty ruled Ethiopia almost continuously until the 20th century. Under the Solomonic rulers, Ethiopia became a powerful Christian empire again. It often clashed with Muslim kingdoms in the region, including the Sultanate of Adal. The 16th century saw massive conflict when Ahmed Gran, a Muslim general, nearly conquered all of Christian Ethiopia, until Portugal came to help fight him off. Even with foreign help, Ethiopia mostly stayed independent, defending its faith and sovereignty through fierce resilience. During this time, Ethiopia also saw the rise of Amharic as the dominant language of the court and the expansion of churches, monasteries, and traditional schools. But tensions continued. Religious conflict, internal rivalries, and foreign interest began to press on Ethiopia's borders. Then came the 1800s, and with it Europe's scramble for Africa. Now let's take a look at the Battle of Adwa and how Ethiopia shocked the world. While most of Africa fell under European rule during the 19th century, Ethiopia stood its ground. That's because of one man, Emperor Menelik II. Menelik was wise, strategic, and knew how to play European powers against each other. He modernized Ethiopia's army, built roads and telegraph lines, and secured deals for advanced weapons. But Italy had its own plan. In 1889, Italy signed a treaty with Ethiopia, but the two versions, one in Italian, one in Amharic, didn't say the same thing. The Italian version claimed Ethiopia was now a protectorate of Italy. Menelik disagreed. He rejected the false terms and prepared for war. What followed was the Battle of Adwa in 1896, one of the most important battles in African history. Menelik's forces, including thousands of soldiers and commanders like Empress Tetu, defeated the Italian army. It was a stunning victory. Ethiopia became the only African country to defeat a European colonial power in open battle during that era. This victory gave Ethiopia international recognition and made it a symbol of African pride and resistance. While colonial flags flew over nearly every other African capital, Ethiopia remained free. Having known all these, let's now step into a new chapter of Ethiopia's story, one that blends tradition with modern change. In the 20th century, Ethiopia's most famous ruler came to power, Emperor Haile Selassie. He ruled from 1930 to 1974 and became a global figure. Some saw him as a reformer and modernizer. Others believed he clung too tightly to old traditions. In 1935, Italy, now under dictator Benito Mussolini, invaded Ethiopia again. Haile Selassie went before the League of Nations and gave a famous speech, begging the world not to ignore fascist aggression. His words were powerful, but no help came. Italy occupied Ethiopia for 5 years, but resistance movements never stopped fighting, and in 1941, with British support, Haile Selassie returned to power. After World War II, he worked to modernize Ethiopia, introducing education reforms, building roads, and expanding foreign relations. He also helped found the Organization of African Unity, now the African Union, based in Addis Ababa. But problems were growing. Many Ethiopians lived in poverty, land was controlled by a few elites, famines struck the country hard, protests grew louder. In 1974, a military coup removed Haile Selassie from power. He died under mysterious circumstances the following year. The empire had fallen, and a new, more dangerous era had begun. After the fall of the monarchy, Ethiopia was ruled by a brutal military regime known as the Derg, led by Mengistu Haile Mariam. The Derg promised socialism and reform, but delivered fear and bloodshed. The country fell into chaos. Thousands were executed in what became known as the Red Terror. Land reforms failed. Famines in the 1980s killed hundreds of thousands. International images of starving children shocked the world. Meanwhile, rebel groups rose across the country, including the Tigrayan People's Liberation Front, TPLF, and Eritrean fighters in the north who wanted independence. By 1991, the Derg was overthrown. Eritrea became its own country, and a new federal government was formed in Ethiopia, meant to recognize its many ethnic groups. Under Prime Minister Meles Zenawi, Ethiopia saw years of economic growth and relative stability. Roads, buildings, and telecoms expanded, but critics said democracy was weak and opposition voices were silenced. In recent years, Ethiopia has faced new conflict, especially in the Tigray region, as ethnic tensions flared again. But through all the struggle, the spirit of Ethiopia endures. As we come to the end of this remarkable journey, we now understand that Ethiopia's story is not like that of any other country. It began as the birthplace of humanity, became an empire shaped by faith and legend, resisted colonization, and marched into the modern age with pride, pain, and perseverance. Its landscapes hold the bones of our ancestors. Its churches whisper ancient prayers. Its people carry a legacy of survival, strength, and belief. From Lucy to Lalibela to Adwa to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia remains a land of deep history and bold identity. Yes, there have been dark times, invasions, famines, civil war, but there's also beauty, hope, and resilience that no empire, no regime, and no hardship could erase. Today, Ethiopia stands at a crossroads, balancing its ancient heritage with a modern future, a place of deep roots and rising dreams. And now that you know its full story, you'll understand why Ethiopia is not just another African country. It's a symbol, a survivor, and a shining light in the long story of humanity. So what surprised you the most about Ethiopia's history? Let us know in the comments. We love hearing from you. If you found this video insightful, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more true history from around the world and hit the bell icon so you never miss a story that matters. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.